Now it's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start, Lefties, with a man who identifies as a woman who tries to guilt a woman into not calling the cops because she's black, and how dare she as a black woman call the cops on a trans woman. It's all about intersectional victimhood with these characters. And then when that tactic doesn't work, he really loses it. Buckle in, this is a wild ride.
Ran into me because you're a transphobe and you're having a bad life.
I have trans friends.
So why did you walk into me like that?
You're looking for problems and you're purposely antagonizing me.
Am I?
So I'm going to give you a minute and then I'm going to call the cops. Because you was going in that direction and now you're following me to this location. And I'm going to stand here for 1 minute.
You antagonized me.
Okay, what's your name?
You're a black woman calling a cops on a trans woman. And I just want you to
What's your name?
I want you to think about that.
Okay.
You're a black woman calling the cops
Go ahead.
on a trans woman.
Continue to walk.
And I want you to think about that.
We're at 37 seconds.
I'm going to pray for you.
I'm going to hang.
Because I pray.
I'm going to stop recording at 1 minute and I'm going to call the cops if you're still in my area. I haven't offended you in any way.
You hit me on the sidewalk with your body.
Me.
You hit me.
Honey.
It's not honey anymore. Okay. It's not honey.
Right.
It's not honey.
We're just going to patiently wait for the cops.
Yes, we are.
This is getting...
You're a hypocrite. You're a liberal hypocrite. And you're a... Yeah, I am aggressive. I have PTSD.
Okay.
You the wrong tranny today.
I apologize.
Ooh, that's not very ladylike, ma'am. And all this because that poor woman accidentally brushed past him. But it wasn't over yet, because here come the illegal threats and more guilt trips.
Because I
have a lawyer. I have 2 and 3 lawyers, honey. I will sue your pants off.
I'm not going to anymore, okay?
I will sue your pants off.
I'm not speaking anymore.
Good. I risk my life every day getting ready in the morning.
He risks his life getting ready in the morning, really? Is he putting his wig on in front of the Taliban? Where's the danger? What I do see is a sense of entitlement that is off the scale. Now to a man that identifies as Viper. That's how he identifies on his Instagram page. Here is Xavier DeRosso, who also identifies as part Chinese. And here he explains why the Asian community is so successful, particularly here in the West, even when they come here with nothing.
I'm 2% Chinese, so don't tell me I can't identify as Asian when a man with 0% of a vagina can identify as a woman. Now walk with me. Full-blooded Asians are too humble to do this, so let me explain to you why Asian families don't have half the issues of you other people. We are the wealthiest group, do the least amount of crime, have the least amount of pronoun warriors, and have the lowest unemployment rate while you big-backed bums sit on the couch. We Asians emphasize discipline, education, and a strong family unit instead of the victim Olympics. Notice how you don't see Asians complaining about injustices of the past or apologizing for what our ancestors did? Why would I feel guilty about what Genghis Khan did? Yet, universities make us score significantly higher than other students to get into the same schools. We have no choice but to be elite. Oh, Xavier, you're only Asian when it's convenient, and y'all only know what a woman is when it's convenient, goofy.
Now, let's hear from the woman who's going to save the world from fascism, according to the loopy left. Here is Kamala speaking out not against radical Islamic terrorism and illegal immigration. No. Here she says we must have the courage to object to the terms radical Islamic terrorism and illegal aliens.
And we must have the courage to object when they use that term, radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror. And we must also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien.
That was Harris talking at a mosque back in 2016, and the timing is important because that was at the height of Islamic State's reign of terror, where they brutally murdered those they considered non-believers, where they abducted, raped and tortured thousands of women and children, including Yazidis. And there is Kamala in 2016 objecting to the term radical Islamic terrorism. But that won't stop the enthusiasm from the useful idiots of the left. At least this next one is a happy camper. This never Trumper it likes a dance. So many of them are miserable. This one at least looks happy.
So this is really who Donald Trump chose as his running mate?
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. Never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy.
Exercise is good and so is humour. Let's have a laugh now with comic Nick Peterson. Here he talks about the benefits of having a brain and thinking.
I used to believe everything I'd see on the news, but that's before I discovered a brain.
A brain is meant for everyday use. Those living with moderate to severe stupidity have seen immediate improvement in common sense with a brain.
I thought the government had my best interests at heart, and then a friend told me about a brain.
Talk to your doctor about what news sources you obey. A brain may also lower your desire to take life-altering advice from celebrities.
Getting lectured about my carbon footprint from people with 3 private jets used to make sense. But thanks to a brain, now I can think for myself every day. When my disregard for 3rd grade biology began to flare up, I knew it was time for a brain.
Do not try a brain if you're allergic to a brain. Common side effects may include accountability, discernment, homeschooling your kids, a better understanding of economics, awareness of the stupidity of socialism, and diarrhea.
For tethering yourself to reality, the only no-brainer is choosing a brain. Ask your doctor if a brain is right for you.
Now we'll be featuring more Lefties Losing It content with my next guest. And it didn't take long after Kamala Harris was installed as the Democrats' presidential candidate for the media to start rewriting her history. Apparently, she was never the border czar. She never had the most left-wing voting record in the Senate, and she was never considered a liability in the Biden administration. Those verifiable facts are all dismissed as right-wing conspiracies, as is the fact that she helped raise bail money for thugs during the BLM riots. Look at this headline claiming Trump falsely accuses Harris of donating to Minnesota Freedom Fund, bailing out dangerous criminals. Not only did Kamala do just that, her tweet is still up. Chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. She posted that at the height of the BLM riots, and guess what? That link is still active. You can still donate, and there is Kamala's smiling face on the donation page. And Trump's campaign is doing its best to prevent this bit of history being memory holed. This is among their most devastating ads.
Harris sending this out on X. If you're able to chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota.
Thanks to Harris's promotion, the group reportedly raised $35 million in just a few weeks.
Darnica Floyd, charged with second-degree murder for stabbing a friend to death. She got out of jail, too. A twice-convicted rapist, currently charged with kidnapping and sexual assault, and he walks out, too.
The Freedom Fund raked in donations when it was promoted by many, including now Vice President Kamala Harris.
Sean Michael Tillman shot and killed a passenger on a train platform after reportedly being released from jail 3 weeks prior. All thanks to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
Donovan Boone was charged with breaking into the home of an ex-girlfriend and choking her. Freedom Fund bailed him out for $3,000 cash, and he hasn't shown up for court since.
I often don't even look at a charge specifics when I bail someone out.
The Hennepin County attorney called out the Minnesota Freedom Fund for bailing Mosley out of jail twice previously, even though he was arrested for having a gun in the courthouse.
The Minnesota Freedom Fund, which pays cash bail for low-income criminals, paid Tims's entire $10,000 bail in cash.
11 days later, police found a man bleeding from the head and ears in this alley. Police were able to arrest Tims in connection to this violent assault.
Howard was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The Minnesota Freedom Fund acknowledged supporting Howard's bail.
Joining me now is the host of Prime Time with Alex Stein on Blaze TV, the incorrigible Texan himself, Alex Stein. Welcome back to the program. Will that ad be effective? Kamala's support of BLM's radical agenda and their mostly peaceful rioting and looting surely is a liability. Law and order is a big issue, along with inflation and the border crisis.
Well, Rita, here in America, they call you the Tucker Carlson of Australian news. You know, you're super famous here. I know people probably don't give you enough respect, but you are very famous. And Tucker Carlson says the same thing, is that our whole entire justice system only helps out criminals. When you have bail reform, a system that helps out criminals get out of jail, then they don't care about prosecuting crime. So it's just sad that you can commit a crime in America and get let out of jail under no bail requirements whatsoever. You don't have to show back up to court. You don't have a bail bondsman that's required to go back to court. So we have a rigged system, and it's very sad that it's affecting people not only in America, but it's affecting people in Australia.
The crime in some of those cities in the States is just out of control, and they've redefined certain crimes to not make them crimes any longer. So you can't even trust some of the crime stats these days. Now, another issue that is concerning me is the Democrats going back to their segregationist roots with this new trend of race-based groups supporting Kamala Harris. There's White Dudes for Harris. They held a mass video call to support her presidential campaign and end what they call the culture of masculinity. And a Zoom event also was held for white women Answer the Call. That took place also in support of Harris, and there's also a group called Win with Black Women. Do we now have groups set aside based purely on race? Is a black man presumably prevented from joining White Dudes for Harris? It sounds like systematic racism.
Well, Rita, you know this. Joe Biden said that if you don't vote for him, you're not black. And, you know, I just want to say I'm so thankful that Australia, you guys let me come on Sky News. It's so great. But Chris Lilly, one of the greatest comedians of all time, you know, as good as any American comedian has ever been, he calls out all of this race and gender nonsense. So that's where we're at, is that we're electing people based on their race and their gender instead of being a meritocracy based on their record of being successful. So, you know, we're screwed basing everything on the color of a person's skin. It's really sad, Rita, and you know this. You're awake to all this nonsense, but I don't think the majority of people that are watching, you know, just normal TV realize that this system is affecting you personally, the people that are, you know, watching at home.
Has there been much backlash to these race-based groups that have popped up in support of Harris? Is anyone objecting to the fact that, you know, you've got white dudes and white women and black? I mean, why can't they just support Kamala together? Why do they need to be separated along racial lines?
Rita, you nailed it. It's all nonsense. Basing everything by race is racist. So it's all nonsense. Saying white people for Harris, you know, white women for Harris. It's all nonsense. Harris is a Jamaican, Indonesian woman. So when they make everything about race, it just proves that they're racist. So people here in America, they could care less about Kamala Harris becoming vice president, in my personal opinion.
Did you just try to make her even more exotic and make her Indonesian? Isn't she, Indian heritage there? Kind of close.
What? Did Indonesian?
Exactly.
We don't even know. We have no idea what she is. Is she Indonesian? Is she Jamaican? We don't know.
She's not Indonesian.
Not from America.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. She's,
we love Indonesians.
But yeah, she's Indian, Jamaican heritage, and we love all of it.